So I made a video last week sharing my thoughts about Nutex Health after they announced a delay in their filing of their quarterly earnings for Q2 of 2025. They're meant to file their quarterly earnings on Thursday, August 14th, but they never actually did. Instead, they just provided some highlights of what they believe the quarter was going to show. They were unofficial highlights, though, because they never filed an official filing with the SEC. And I made a video talking about how it was an amazing buying opportunity because they shared some of the results and they looked truly amazing. And they also announced a $25 million buyback program they're going to talk a little more about that in their conference call that they'll be having on Monday. And I talked about how it was an amazing buying opportunity, hoping that maybe they would file their official earnings this week, but they never actually did. Instead, they provided even more financial highlights that they were able to give as they were filing their earnings, as they were working to file the earnings. And turns out there's just a bunch of tiny little accounting issues that they've been running into, which is just really kind of disappointing as an investor because I was hoping for a huge jump, but they were never able to actually file. But I think in the long run, this will be an amazing move. And I think what they filed this week just shows even more of that. So originally, if I jump to their press release here that they released this week, originally they had these first few points about the revenue, which I already talked about, had jumped more than 3x since this time last year, which is just amazing. And you look this time last year, we were at around $20. So that kind of reflects it. And then gross profit jumped a bunch since, look at that. That's more than 6x of what it was last year. That's amazing. And then visits were up too. And then some of the new stuff they added in this new press release that they were probably able to come by as they were working towards filing their official earnings is that they collected $175 million in cash, which is amazing for a company of its size, only around 500 mil market cap. And this was really what stuck out to me. They had more than 70 million in EBITDA for the quarter. That's compared to 6.8 million this time last year. That's more than 10x. So you don't see that with just any random company. This company, I truly believe, is special. And that's why I've taken an especially large position in their stock as of recently, just because of how high I am on the stock. And the last piece of information they gave was 27.1 million operating cash flow, which is almost more than double this time last year. So the company's obviously seeing tremendous growth. I mean, not even 2x, you're seeing 3x to 10x, and depending on the area. And that's just really what you love to see out of a growing company. And I think this is kind of a case that I've never seen before. And it's obviously a little frustrating that they're maybe taking their time with the accounting issues that they ran into, but I think it's kind of smarter than maybe releasing the earnings a little early and then having more accounting problems. So they're definitely, I think, being a little cautious on not releasing too early. But this is definitely a unique scenario because you already have the financial results and they already provided them, and the growth is just insane. You're seeing, again, I talked about it before, you're seeing 3x, 10x, 2x year over year. And that's just insane growth. And originally this company was valued, if you look at the 5-year, when it went on the market in 2022, it was valued at almost a $7 billion market cap. And now it's only at 500 million. That's because of a bunch of rough time here where it was, about to be delisted even. And then they really saw it come back and they hit their stride with their whole entire micro hospital system where they were building them and they were making money. So this is just one of my favorite stocks. I'd say probably my favorite stock on the market right now. And it can be a little frustrating, I think, because we have that conference call on Monday, hopefully, which will provide a lot of good updates on, especially the buyback program and kind of a little more in depth about the results. But we don't know when the official earnings are going to be out. I'm assuming it's going to be soon. They said 5 days just for this quarter, but then they ended up finding other accounting issues that they had in the past quarters. So now they're, I think, just going back and making sure everything is okay, which I think it's more of an issue with whoever does their financial results, and just their accountant maybe has to find a new one or something. But what they're doing operationally is just exceptional. If you want, an easy 2x to 3x, I think this is easily the place to go. You know, right now it's at 92, and I just look at their price to earnings ratio. It's at 1.72 right now. I mean, that is just crazy low. This thing could 10x and it would be at 17, which is obviously a little high for a healthcare stock, but this thing could 5x and it would still be, we would be below 10. So, you know, 5x here is $500, and that doesn't even break into their initial IPO price of, it's now $1,500 after splits. So obviously wasn't that back then, but 7 billion valuation. So you just kind of got to think into the future. And you know, I obviously try not to get too excited as an investor, but I put a lot of money into this stock, and I can just only imagine where this can go. Obviously, the only thing that's holding them back right now is the accounting issues, which it 100% makes sense. You kind of look at the 5-day charts, and I made the last video, it literally was pretty much unchanged. But you see this run up here after they announced these new results. We jumped all the way in the span of 2 hours to 110. I thought it was going to go much higher, but then I kind of just realized the volume was not that high for that day. It was around average. So it really just shows that the big institutional investors are not getting involved yet, because there's obviously risks that come with the accounting issues, even though I am not worried at all, because there are a lot of small things. And, you know, in the press releases, they're not saying anything about, you know, it'll take as many months. They're really just saying we're working closely and expect them to be done in the next few days to weeks, to hopefully not more than weeks. But they're not going to obviously put a specific date on that. But this just kind of gave me a little sneak peek of what you can expect is these huge jumps. In 2 hours, we jumped more than $20. So that's really the jumps that you can see. I think obviously you're not going to see that until the accounting results, until the official results are published. But I think when that does come, and I think it comes very soon, that this stock is going to be easily at 200. And then you could tell me 300, 400, 500. And I would still say that's reasonable for this stock with how much money they're making, with how low the price to earnings ratio is, and with just their growth prospect. You know, I love their business model of these micro hospitals they're continuing to build, and they seem to be making a ton of money from it. And there's a lot of government acts that are in favor of that. So if you want a very, very, I think, safe bet that can easily 2 to 3x your money in the next, you know, couple months or year or so, then I would 100% recommend this stock. This is definitely my favorite and most confident pick. The fact that it didn't really drop anymore, it tells me that this is kind of the lowest we're going to be, is around this 90 level until they officially release their results. But until then, you kind of just got to wait and see where this thing goes. And then once they release the results, it's really just game time. And I'm hoping for huge, huge results out of the stock price. So let me know what you think in the comments. Until then, just gotta wait until they officially file their earnings. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you're liking the videos, please subscribe, and I'll see you next week.